Happy Friday! It's another Friday, the Friday of Thanksgiving. I hope everybody is super stoked about having an extra day off this weekend. I know I am, although in the life of an entrepreneur, you don't really get days off necessarily. But it'll be nice nonetheless. You know, the phone rings a lot less when it's a holiday. The emails don't come in as much. So that's always a welcome sight. I'm Diana Noble. You all know me, Noble Choice Coaching. And I'm here today with my colleague, Tracy Meyers of Meyers Management Consulting Group. Say hi, Tracy.
Hi.
So I thought this is the very first Friday at 5 where I've had a guest. So I'm really excited about that. Just kind of switching it up a little bit, you know, as much as I'm sure you all enjoy seeing me talk about stuff by myself every single week. I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and get some additional input. So Tracy and I actually go way back. About 7.5 years now. When I was starting out my journey in real estate, I became a realtor with her real estate brokerage. And so since then, we've kept contact with each other and watched each other grow over the years and gone out for the occasional lunch or two. Yeah. And I'm really excited to have you here, Tracy. Did you want to give yourself more of an introduction?
No, thank you so much, Diana, for having me here today. I really do appreciate it. I understand this topic is about all about when shit hits the fan.
Yes, it is. And is it a fair statement that as a business owner, shit hits the fan more often than not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because when you work a 9-to-5 job, you know, and you're an employee, essentially, you know what every day is going to be like inside and out. You know, it's relatively the same every single day. Obviously, some tasks change and whatnot. But as a business owner, that's not always true.
No, in my world, it's the same every single month, but every day is different.
Right, because you have like different reoccurring activities that you have to deal with
every day. Every
day
is never the same.
Yeah, so Tracy is in property management. So you've been a business owner for over a decade, like myself. And tell us a little bit about your story, how you started out in, how you decided to take the leap into the world of entrepreneurship.
Well, we don't have enough time, Diana, honestly, but yeah, definitely. Because I go back 20 years. This month is my 20th year as a licensed realtor. And I brokered out on my own 11 years ago. Yeah.
11 years ago. Wow. It just goes by like a blink of an eye, hey?
It does. Yeah, it really does. But how I got started was I had the opportunity very early on to work with some builders. And as a result, I got to know condos and how they were built and what the rules and regulations around condos was. And been doing that 17 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good stuff. And I have to say, like a fine wine, you're getting better with age, girl.
What do you want?
Well, I wanted you here today. That's what I wanted. So I already got you. So yeah, let's talk about this topic. So this topic today is inspired by my September. For those of you who subscribe to my weekly email, and if you don't, by the way, you should probably put email address in the comments and I will add you to that. But that's like my shameless plug right there. But yeah, I had a really rough September. It was just like one thing kind of happened after another. And when I say one thing happened after another, I don't mean just, you know, you wake up and you stub your toe kind of a thing. I just had these circumstances just come out of left field that, you know, you don't really deal with too often. And then it was like a domino effect. I don't know if anybody here has, done any research or reading on the law of attraction. I very much believe in that. And sometimes when you're dealing with all of these things after another, it's really hard to change your mindset to get back to the point where you're not like bringing all of this onto yourself.
Exactly. You are what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to bring you here today just to see if you could share, and I will as well, but I don't want to do all the talking, but just share, any examples that you've had of where things have happened to you as a business owner, or situations have arisen where it's really challenged your who you are, challenged your skill set, or challenged your willpower or whatnot. And how you were able to overcome those circumstances to gain some forward momentum again.
Yeah, so many things can actually come to mind because my world is different every day. I'm on alert 24/7, but the one thing that really comes to mind for me, to be honest with you, is fire.
Like the fire in 2016?
Yeah, in May of 2016, like that. From a business perspective, it wasn't just me that I had to look after. I had to look after everybody else.
Right.
And I had to look out for everybody.
Right, because you had landlords and tenants that you were dealing with.
Yeah, and complexes that had burnt down to the ground, and so many variables. Just making contact with everybody after we all evacuated. And to be honest with you, I'm not impervious because I didn't have a meltdown until I was actually able to get my family safe. But I did have to start to, I think intentionally we all start to look inwards, and we think about, fear takes over, and we look at ourselves and what's going on in our life. But in true form, we should be looking to be external and look elsewhere to see where we can help everybody else. And fire was really quite well, it was devastating for everyone of Fort McMurray. Really, it really was. And how to overcome, how to step outside of myself. Once I got my family safe, I had to, at that point, start to look at the company and how it's changed. And I can't look at the crisis pre-crisis, my company prior to crisis. I have to look at my company now as in a crisis. And I have to look at contacting all my customers and my investors and vendors, and I had employees. So, the very first thing we did when we all realized we needed to evacuate was to make sure all the employees got home safe, and then evacuate the city safe as well. And so, yeah, I looked inward, and I was focused on me and how I could, change that. And that's when I started to gain momentum and traction, and start looking at helping others and making sure that that was my main objective and goal.
Yeah, and I guess by focusing outside of yourself and really putting people's needs ahead of your own, maybe, it probably allowed you to feel like you were making a difference, and like, okay, well, we're in this together. Like, we can get through this. This obstacle is not insurmountable, and instead of kind of like dwelling on the situation, I can't believe this is happening. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You were able to kind of jump into solution mode and make sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to in anything you do. You don't have to run a business. It's family, friends, that we all go through hard times, and we all have shit hit the fan. We all do. And we can either wallow in it, or we can, turn that around and have a more positive outlook on a solution, and then work toward it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was, as I was prepping for today, I was thinking about my very first real estate deal and at your brokerage, and I screwed something up. What had happened was I forgot to get the additional deposit or something to that effect, or it was either that, sorry, or I think it actually might have been waiving a condition. I think it was waiving a condition is what it was, an appraisal condition or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember at the time, I thought it was the end of the world because, it was my very first real estate deal. And I'm like,
My
oh,
gosh. Yeah.
no, I didn't do this. I screwed it up, my prejudice to my client and so on and so forth. And, kind of looking back at that, 7.5 years later, I kind of laugh at myself a little bit, right? Because at the time, I thought it was such a big deal. And it really turned out not to be that big of a deal because we were able to get the situation solved. My client happily bought the property.
Exactly.
There was just this little issue that happened, but it wasn't the end of the world. And how true is it that when you're in the midst of the shit, you feel like your whole world might be ending, or, oh my goodness, like, how am I going to deal with this? And you're so stuck in what the problem is that sometimes you fail to focus on the solution. And at the end of the day, when you look back, it's just like, okay, well, that was a learning opportunity. And I was able to grow from that and overcome it. And it really wasn't as big as I thought about, like that it was at the time.
Exactly. Yeah. I had no idea. Because again, that's, that would be, we always said, real estate never tells you or shows you what goes on in the real world. When you're in your class, it's all practical. None of it's theory. And when you have to go out into the real world and actually, put it into motion, that's when you learn everything.
Yeah. And that's so true about really anything that you're doing. Like if you are transitioning into a new career, or you are going in unfamiliar territory, you don't know everything that there is to know about something. You just kind of have to take that leap, and you have to have the faith, and then you have to learn and go. And sometimes you make mistakes along the way.
That's how we learn.
One of my big mistakes was signing a 5-year lease, which I highly recommend nobody ever does.
Oh, I did. And it's, I'm still in business today. And so are you.
Yeah, so am I.
And so are you. So,
but
you want to think long term. But did we ever realize that we would be where we are in 5 years, in 2015?
No, and that's the thing, right? It's like in 2015, things seemed really good at the beginning of it, anyways.
Well, it was the start of the downturn for sure.
It was the start of it, yeah. And it very quickly went the other direction. Very similar to 2008, actually, when I first moved to Fort McMurray. It was like booming and everything was great in March. And by October,
world economy. World economy. But Fort McMurray didn't feel those same effects. And I even opened up a business in 2009. So, we take advantage of the opportunities as they're presented. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the world around us, just as long as we're able to stay true to ourselves and give to others.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is that when you're in business, not even in business, in life in general, things can shift on a dime. Like, who would have thought, what month are we in now? October.
October.
Wow, oh my goodness. Okay. So who would have thought 9 months ago that our economy would have been relatively shut down for several months, that we would be in a global pandemic? I remember I remember in early March, I went to Edmonton with two of my agents, and we went to this Power of Success conference.
Oh, yes. Tony
Yeah.
Robbins.
He wasn't at this one.
Okay.
He was at the one last year, but yes, it's
Okay.
kind of his thing.
Right.
There were some other good speakers this year. And so at the time, like nothing had even been announced. I remember my realtor, Joelle, talking to me about it and saying like, oh, have you heard about this? And I'm just like, I just shrugged it off. Like, because it really wasn't that big of a deal. And on the day that we were coming back from Edmonton was the day that the very first announcement of the first case in Alberta happened.
Scary.
And, yeah, it was scary. And I was just kind of like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then 2 weeks later, school was shut down. And then, you know, here I was looking after a 2.5-year-old and trying to run 4 businesses. And
exactly.
It was pretty crazy. And
exactly.
You know, but that's the thing, right? So it's that we don't know what's going to come our way
tomorrow. We don't even know.
No, and we can't always be prepared, because in a situation like you said with the wildfire, situation like a global pandemic, the flood that we had here in February, economic downturns, you know, and like I have a crystal ball that sits on that shelf right there. If I can, there it is. See me?
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it doesn't work the way I like it to. Right? It doesn't.
I don't think Exactly. I don't think anybody predicted 2020 to be where we are today.
No, but we've had to all react accordingly and adapt. I mean, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say that I've had many more meltdowns in 2020 than I've probably had in the last decade of my life. But
it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. But again, if we can just focus on solutions, then we have better results. It's a positive mindset. It's focus on that inner compass, right? And just allow us to give to the needs of others. And when we focus on solutions and not the problems, I think Napoleon Hill said something along those lines. Yeah. Do you remember it?
No, not offhand. Probably.
Napoleon Hill, focus on your solutions, not your problems.
Yeah, and it's true. And not only that, you know, not being afraid to reach out to others if you are in need, or if you're going through something, and, you know, don't feel like you have to solve your problems yourself, or you know, like find what those solutions are yourself. Sometimes you need that outside person to be able to kind of look in from an unbiased perspective and provide you with that support, or provide you with suggestions of like how you could step outside of the box that you're in to look at something from a different lens.
Exactly. You know, we all have to take other people's opinions with a grain of salt and follow our own inner compass at the end of the day. But we need to be able to get different perspectives from others. We need that in order to make well-balanced, round decisions, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we'll go ahead and leave today's session at that. So just the recommendation.
Friday at 5.
Yeah, I don't have my wine. Tracy I'm living vicariously through her right now. She's drinking my portion of wine. I'm about to hop in a vehicle with all of my realtors here in a couple of minutes, or at 6 p.m. We're going to deliver Thanksgiving turkeys to 4 people. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Excellent.
About that, and I'm the driver, so I felt like I probably shouldn't have that glass of wine or that cooler or whatever I tend to have.
You guys are such angels. Thank you very much for giving as much as you do, Diana, and thank you for today. I really appreciate being a guest on your show. I know I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at Diana, and I don't see the camera. And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So folks, summing that up, look outside of yourself, focus on solutions, not problems, and try to maintain a spirit of giving, because when you are helping others, when you're inspiring others, when you're giving others, it's really hard to be in that negative frame of mind, which exacerbates your problems, right? So, so that's the advice for today. Thank you so much, Tracy. It was a pleasure having you here. We'll have to go for lunch one of these days when it's safe to go again, and we'll chat soon. All right.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.